Hello, update on the glue. It's still working. I'm going to take this off after this video, and if I still have edges, this shit is witchcraft, so I'll keep you updated. Granted, your edges kind of desiccate, so maybe one time isn't a great test of it, but I'll let you guys know. I'll pop a picture of me bald right here. Hi, by the way, it's Kendall here. New around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home scale biscuit? My hands have dye on them. What else is new? New around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home scale biscuit? Happy Saturday. Don't know what Saturday is. It's when I do a little something on my channel called Bad Movies and a Beat. Here's on my channel where I talk about bad movies while putting my makeup on, but my makeup's already on. I don't have a good excuse this week. Usually I do. No, I don't. I don't usually have a good... Bitch, I'm recording at 7:53 the night before. That's why the makeup's already on, babe. I'm sorry. Last minute. I like the danger. I like the edge. I'm on a lot of caffeine. C4 sent me like 36 cans of their energy drink. I don't know how they got my address, but thanks. 200 milligrams. Yeah, diesel. Great. That's all my rambles. That's all my inconsequential updates. So I think it's time we send it over to Admiral Kennie. Thank you. Hello everyone, this is Admiral Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit delivery service that offers you fresh, delicious, healthy meals delivered straight to the comfort of your own home. Pre-portioned ingredients, pre-thought out meals, easy to follow recipe cards. Make it so simple and easy to get a meal on your table in about 30 minutes, often less than that, especially when they have their like speedy lunches and stuff. I attribute a lot of me just getting better as a cook in general due to HelloFresh because they play around with citrus, herbs. It's a great way to switch up the way you eat in general because they have pescatarian options or vegetarian options, carb smart, calorie smart. The last time I did pescatarian, which I might continue to do for a while. A lot of times those recipes tend to be like Asian inspired or Mediterranean inspired, and honestly those are the main food groups I eat. Also like a shrimp taco here and there, that's also fire. Yes, it's a great way to get out of recipe ruts, great way to save time, great way to not go to the grocery store nearly as much, and great way to save some money. So if you would like to check out HelloFresh, go to hellofresh.com, use code 50Kennie to get 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com, use code 50Kennie for 50% off plus free shipping. Big thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery. So last time we were here, we watched something from Passion Flicks. We watched Wait With Me, a movie that was bad, but not terrible. It was a good palate cleanser. It's Passion Flicks, so it's romance and it's corny. People were saying, well, this wasn't even a bad movie. It should have been a good movies and a glam, but it's not good enough to be a good movies and a glam. I will say, it's probably the best movie I've seen on Passion Flicks. Reaching for the Stars. That's delicious. What flavor is this? Cherry berry lime. It's a corny rom-com about a woman who writes erotica who falls in love with a mechanic. I don't know how those two things came together, but they figured it out. If you want to watch that video, it'll be linked up above, or you can check it out in the Bad Movies and a Beat playlist. So being that we just talked about Passion Flicks, I feel like it's only appropriate that we also venture back to another safe haven, TUBI, wherever you want to watch trash. Passion Flicks, TUBI. Sometimes in the seedy underbelly of YouTube, you'll be able to find some garbage. So granted, we talked about TUBI not too long ago, but I felt like this deserves its own spotlight. Over the years, I have seen some shit. And within that time, I've made a lot of videos about TUBI, particularly the instant hood classics that end up on TUBI. Those movies are often a confusing mixture of limitless ambition and a lack of skill. A combination that always leads to the best things for us to talk about. And it's probably going to be something from Maverick. But few of those films have left me outright speechless the way that Diary of a Unicorn, a lifestyle story, has. Diary of a Unicorn is about a woman who is at her sexual peak, who begins to do a bit of exploration into the world of swinging, particularly acting as a unicorn. We'll get to terminology in a bit. And this life, though it's a lot of fun, it seems as though it's something she's not fully prepared for, and it's a bit more than she originally planned. And on the surface, this sounds very much so like some TUBI shit movie, and if you look deeper, that's what it is. But it also has a twist ending that left me absolutely speechless. I love to talk about shit movies. I'm a connoisseur of trash. It's what I've been doing on this channel for almost 4 years. Oh my God. Almost 4 years now. I never get sick of this shit. Like, I make jokes about like, oh my God, I need a break. But like, honestly, I never tire of this shit because there's always somebody who does it in a way that makes it feel new. I can't gatekeep this. This must be seen by the masses, and it's free. It's on TUBI, so there you go. And again, if you hate yourself like I do, you should definitely watch it this weekend. So without further ado, this is Diary of a Unicorn 2023. I think it is quite poignant to note that this movie was made, or at least released, this year, because much like every TUBI movie, despite it coming out this year, it both looks and sounds like it was made on VHS. When quality is this bad in 2023, it's so befuddling to me, because it's like, you could have recorded on a phone. The cinematic setting would have did you better than this shit. But please note, all the effort that they didn't put into lighting or sound quality, they also didn't put into acting or the plot. The movie begins with the close-up of a booty, particularly the booty of our main character. Her name is Georgia. In this slow motion shot of us seeing her in boy shorts, she gives us the definition of a unicorn. For those of the uninitiated, I say that like I'm a swinger. I'm not at all. I don't have one partner, let alone many. It's a colloquial term used to describe a single woman who is interested in being in a threesome with a couple. And Georgia says in a voiceover, if this had been a few months ago, she wouldn't have been caught dead in a place like this. So it would seem that Georgia has had quite a change of heart over the last few months. And so we're going to go back and see how she became this, vivacious sexual being. So a few months prior to this, Georgia was in a dead-end relationship with a man who was bad at sex and did nothing but play video games all day. His name is Michael or something, who cares? And this was the beginning of us seeing how she processes her emotions, which she does via a video diary that she starts up periodically throughout the movie to kind of bemoan the state of events and also to tell us things that we just saw. I will say the video or live stream, I actually have no clue because they never clarify what exactly this is for. They never say whether or not she has an audience, who the audience is, whether it's like a live stream or just like for this personal use that she uses to organize her thoughts. They never say anything about it. There are points in which she says like you guys, which would presumably reference an audience, but considering nuts like me talk to themselves in a room, there may be nobody there. Like what am I doing? I'm talking to a fucking camera right now. Fourth wall break, baby. The fuck. There's a lot of caffeine in this, but I am that type of bitch who like has a whole interview by myself, like narrating my life as if I'm having like a documentary done, like I'm Eartha Kitt.
If a man came into your life, wouldn't you want to compromise?
Stupid. Capricorn queen. Just on the toilet by myself, sitting there longer than necessary. Well, I've always been a lover of art. But within this particular video diary, Georgia is talking about how she really wants to have sex with one of her clients. Georgia is a massage therapist, and one of the many grievances I have about this movie, there's so many, but I don't know why this one particularly stand out, is the lack of professionalism of anybody in this profession in this movie. And it's appalling. I don't like the massage therapist representation here. I've had plenty of massages. They've all been completely professional. I've had nothing but good experiences. Well, I've had bad experiences, but not because of like crossing a line like sexually. It was just like one of them was a COVID denier. And she said that in the middle of massaging me. Without a mask. The other one just wouldn't shut up. He just wouldn't shut up. But anyway, yeah, she's really attracted to this client. She does kind of speak as if she's already having sex with this person, but she is more so referring to these incredibly vivid fantasies that she has of having sex with him, which they show us, which I won't show you guys. And again, her sexual relationship with her current boyfriend is running dry. Things have gotten quite stale. Also, in the midst of doing this entry for her diary, she's kind of like, I just realized that he's never gone down on me. Y'all live together. Y'all been together long enough that he lives in your house and you just now noticing he ain't give you head? You just noticed? Let me say this. As a person who's never had sex, the worst sex I ever had was a dude. Not that I would know. As a pure and not at all sullied virgin whose hands have touched nothing at all in the shape of a phallus except for the end of a fat, thick cross. I gotta stop making that joke. I gotta stop. It never gets old, though. It's never not funny. Sorry. It's always so good. I've only dated one man who didn't reciprocate. Don't do it, baby. You appealing to the patriarchy. Don't do it. But not only does he not perform well at all, he's also emotionally inept as well. Like, he completely ignores her. He's playing video games all day. He forgets their anniversary. It's just like, ew, why are you here? It's definitely signs that this relationship is definitely on the out. Back at work, still fantasizing about the hot client while giving him a massage. It would seem that the sexual tension that she's feeling isn't entirely in her mind. It's also between them in reality. But nothing gets crossed yet. Georgia has a friend at work. Her name is Cheryl. And she's the wild one between the two. She's like into sex parties and swinging, and she's into all that. And she apparently has been inviting Georgia to those parties, despite her being in a relationship. That's a little dicey. But she was like, you need to come to these sex parties and leave that alone. But Georgia always declines. She's the good girl. Well, her and the boyfriend's anniversary is coming up. He forgets, and she goes back to her diary, tells them that she had a dream about the client again, and how she is, again, sexually deprived and admittedly intrigued by the sex parties that her friend keeps talking about. And then soon after that, her boyfriend comes in, no shower, ass dirty, and wants to okay, so he's not emotionally available. He's bad at sex. He don't shower. He's probably giving you a yeast. Ooh, the one thing that burns more than the UTI that you're going to get from this exchange is the shame. And he only lasts 2 minutes. He knocked out. She's like, I can't keep doing this. And she complains again to Cheryl at work. And she's like, come on, be a swinger. I will say there does seem to be a bit of a jump between break up with your boyfriend and be in some orgies. I think there's a middle. I mean, there's no shame necessarily in jumping, but I do feel like we skipped some steps along the way. Georgia's client then comes in, a Mrs. Mason. Cheryl ends up noticing that Mrs. Mason has a black ring on her right ring finger. And apparently this is a sign that this woman, Mrs. Mason, is in an open relationship and is a swinger. This, along with pineapples, are a sign within the in crowd of swingers that they have met another swinger and are interested in connecting. I looked it up. My search history is a mess. Oh my God. Apparently, yes, this is a thing. It's a symbol for swingers. Is this a current thing? In a weird way, this does feel quite archaic. Is this well, also, I don't know a whole lot of people around my age and younger that call it swinging. They tend to just say, oh, we're in an open relationship, a poly relate, you know. So is this like an old, I don't know. I guess people that swing keep like, what's the dealio? But anyway, Mrs. Mason comes in and is immediately inappropriate. She's like, oh, did you become a masseuse because you like touching on people and making them feel good? The woman is like, sorry for being so forward, but me and my husband are swingers. She's like, I'm having a get together at my house, just my husband and some friends. If you want to drop by, we'd really like you to come by. And for some reason, she agrees. Okay. Later, in comes the client that she likes. And it gets weird again because he gets undressed for the massage and she's just standing there. And I'm like, bitch, you can't leave. You ain't got nowhere to go. We also see that he too is a swinger because he has a pineapple keychain, which again means swinging somehow, which is wild because that's just a cute keychain. I've bought things in the shape of pineapples. I gave my friend a pineapple squishmallow. I should text her right now and give no context. Do you feel like I wanted you to swing? Girl, what? But she continues to fantasize while she's giving him a massage. But she's brought back to the present when he in real life asks her out that weekend. But he is a married man, which Georgia knows. So she's like, I can't do that. But eventually she does still take his number. So back to the diary. And this is where I noticed that there are a lot of paintings in this house that have full on p***s and titties and artful in the background. And Thanks for giving me more work to do in editing. Appreciate that. But it would seem that because it seems like every third person is a swinger, she's becoming more and more interested in the lifestyle. And slowly but surely, Georgia starts to spend less time around her boyfriend, enough that he actually starts to notice her absence, which apparently he just didn't before. He was quite mentally absent. She seems more preoccupied. She seems more interested in going to her friend's birthday party, getting dressed up, wearing less and going out more. And so now he's feeling dejected, and he's annoyed that she just won't stay home with him and chill with him, even though, again, he was forgetting their anniversary and shit just a few weeks ago. So that night, she says she's going to Cheryl's birthday party, but where she really ends up going is over to the Masons' house, the ones that invited her over to a little get-together with her friends. But when she get there, ain't no friends there. Mrs. Mason is in a robe and she kisses Georgia, which makes her mad confused. They insist, oh, you're just the first one here. Everybody else will come later. You ain't the first one here, bitch. You know from the jump ain't nobody else coming to that shit. So it's just them all sitting on the couch and it's very uncomfortable. And this is when they played this oddly rom-com music for this very uncomfortable situation.
So I've never been called a unicorn before.
Which is jarring anyway, but it's more jarring because this movie is uncharacteristically low on the music front, considering it's a TUBI movie. Usually the issue is that, again, someone's cousin is plugging a mixtape. But this one, it's like silence until like this moment and occasionally during transitions. But it's all like stock music and stock video. So anyway. But they awkwardly talk and Mrs. Mason goes to get her a drink and she spikes it with horny goat weed. The fuck is that? Yeah, made this movie. Like, I just feel that way. Also, this is very fucked up. I hope I don't have to explain that. That's obviously assault. This thing is obviously meant to raise one's libido. So they have a threesome, quote unquote. They don't have a threesome. She's assaulted. And she wakes up at her home and her boyfriend is like, yeah, you came home super duper drunk in your Uber. I had to carry you out from the car. He thinks that she went out to the friend's birthday. He's calling her a bad influence. She's taking you away from me. And Georgia is like, you're just upset that I now have a life outside of you. But I don't know if this life is great considering the people they're rapists. Like, sorry, like they're terrible. Georgia doesn't remember much from the night before, it seems. She does recall that she participated in a threesome, but the actual details of the sex she does not remember. But she doesn't seem upset by it. She's just more upset that she can't remember the details, which is But at work, cleaning the windows at the massage parlor, they end up seeing some guy staking out the place, and he looks mad suspicious. Georgia then looks at her phone and sees that she has 10 missed calls from Mrs. Mason. So the guy outside is probably Mr. Mason. And I hate to say this, but in a weird way, this was kind of exciting for me because it's two fatal attractions. Double the trouble. I ain't never seen that shit before. Give us a little twist. Oh my God, they both crazy. What a twist. Okay. Suddenly, we are hit with a news report about a man in Vegas who has just been fired from his job as a pathologist. Apparently, he got fired for defiling corpses. That's not funny. Every week there's something, isn't it? I just didn't expect it just was so heavy so quickly. I didn't expect it. This man was fired for defiling corpses, but periodically they'll pop in and say more updates to the search for finding this man who is on the loose, apparently a deranged sexual sadist. Throughout the movie, you're kind of primed to ask yourself, oh, is that the boyfriend? Oh, is that the Masons? Is it the client that she thinks is so fine? Like, who is this guy, this murderer, this crazy psycho? I want to know. Georgia gets ready for her date, speaking of which, the client that she finds hot. But he becomes very unattractive to me because she's late for the date and he's like, where the f*** are you? Like, bitch, who are you talking to? I'm late for a date. You need to be coming to me with concern. Are you okay? Are you all right? You say, where the are you? You will be blocked so quickly, it's not even funny. I could be on the steps of the place and I will walk my black ass right back. You do not talk to me like that. Who the are you talking to? She's going back and forth about whether or not she wants to go on a date because she doesn't want to go out with a man who's married. And also she feels guilty for cheating on her boyfriend. But I guess to alleviate some guilt, she's like, I'm about to break up with my boyfriend. So she does that over the phone and he doesn't answer. So she just leaves a message like, this is over. Get your shit and get out of my house. He seems to be like over his friend's house playing video games. And so she goes out to the date without much more consideration. They go to the mall basically and just walk around, and it ends on a non-sexual note. They just hug and separate. There's, definitely something brewing there. Back at work, in comes Mr. Mason, there to get a massage, which he had yet to do before. And again, him and his wife giving a little cuckoo bird, like, we've been trying to contact you, we haven't gotten a hold of you, we hope that we didn't say anything that made you uncomfortable or did anything that made you uncomfortable. And Georgia's like, no, I've just been very busy. And while getting a massage, he then propositions her for a happy ending, which she says, could lose my license. No. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna go then. She has another date with a fine client and she's getting ready. And before she can leave out, here comes the boyfriend, well, now ex-boyfriend, to the house to pick up his stuff. And this is a side note, like a technical funny thing. They do not mic him up at all. And it's very, very funny.
It's no longer any of your concern.
Wow.
I don't know why, but something about her being like right up to the mic and him being like way over there is very, very funny. He's like, wow, we not even gonna talk about this? She's like, no, leave me alone. And he leaves with his tail between his legs. She goes out on the date with the dude that she finds attractive at his house. He cooks her dinner. He tells her that he's a celebrity fitness trainer, and then names some people. You want to say hi to the people? Hi, people. On your camera. She's getting comfortable. But he named some people I ain't never heard of.
Nelson J. Davis, Natia Nicole, Eduardo Robinson. That's just the name of a few.
I didn't feel like looking up if they're real people. If they are, yay.
Nelson J. Davis, Natia Nicole, Eduardo Robinson. He's
married, as we already know. His wife is a software developer. But yeah, Georgia seems a bit more nervous about this particular encounter, perhaps because she's very attracted to him. But they end up having sex. And while they're having sex, in walks the wife, seeing her getting back shots. And she comes up and she's like, I'm cool with it. And they have a threesome. Wow. I mean, as far as like how that could have turned out, like all things considered, if she wasn't into cucking, she could have cut you. I'm so witty. Oh, it almost got on my nose. Next morning, she's able to chat with the wife. She still seems super chill about it. So I think she is, definitely actually a part of this life. I've heard stories of like wives who open relationships because their partner cheated on them. And so they're like begrudgingly in this open relationship. But no, she seems to be like a part of this life. She's in this life. She's with it. She's into it. Georgia's still popping in periodically to tell the diary, again, things that we just saw. But I guess in some way, the video diaries are meant to explicitly tell us how she feels about things instead of just showing us how she feels about things. Because that would require some sufficient acting, I guess. So. But she's like, I loved it. And I can't wait to see them again. She's like very excited about them in particular. I'm going to refer to them as the fine couple and the other one as the Masons because there's two couples. So Georgia is doing the tale as old as time. She's really attracted to the couple that isn't answering her texts, aren't quick to answer her, but she's ignoring the ones that really like her because they're insane. In comes Mrs. Mason, hoping to get a quick 30-minute massage. And Mrs. Mason seems to be understanding that she wouldn't give her husband a handsy last time he was in the place, not trying to compromise her job. And she invites Georgia over for dinner, a bit of a olive branch, I guess. And Georgia decides to go. I think it's because she just wanted to be with another couple, and considering the couple that she actually wants isn't answering her, she's getting what she can get, I guess. And while she's over, this couple is like, we want to make you our girlfriend. And she's like, I think we're moving a bit fast. Maybe we should take our time. We're just here to have fun. And the wife is like, you don't have to decide tonight, but we are interested in you in like a serious capacity and to have like a poly relationship. But they do have sex, and they continually have sex over the course of several months, which they show via a montage. And one day her ex-boyfriend comes to her job trying to get her back by signing up for a massage so he can see her. He does the whole tale as old as time, baby, please, you know, I realize I did you wrong, baby, please. In comes Mrs. Mason, and somehow Mrs. Mason and the ex end up getting in an argument. They about to fight, and I'm like, huh? What is what? Like for some reason the ex kind of assumes that she's now having sex with this woman, and I'm like, huh? Start playing the scary music, and I'm like, oh, is the boyfriend that random person that they talked about in the news? When she gets to the Mason's house that night, Mrs. Mason is talking to the husband, and she like, he came and tried to threaten me. And Georgia is like not listening to them argue. She's more happy that the couple that she actually wants, the wife, reached out to her. She's like, hey, we wanted to see you again. Do you want to get lunch? And she's like, yeah. And she's like super excited. So they grab lunch. Crazy couple, the Masons, end up like staking them out. They're like, who's your little girlfriend? Who you going to lunch with? And I'm like, huh? Why did you assume that she's a part of another couple? Again, fatal attraction, but several people. They're like, we just like stalk you for your own good. There's some crazy people out there. And I was like, okay, so are they the crazy people they were talking about in the news? You'll see. She's like, you crazy. And they're like kind of threatening her, like, you belong to us. And she's like, oh, hell no, fuck you, get your hands off of me. They go their separate ways. She's like, nah, get away from me. She goes to the couple that she actually likes, and she suggests that maybe they like go out together. They aren't into that. It's pretty obvious. They're more so interested in just a sexual relationship. It's just more so we like to have sex in a threesome and then go about our way, and we together are a couple. So they kind of avoid the question, just have sex. And so in the next morning when George is like cooking them breakfast, it's very awkward. The husband is a bit hostile, like kind of passive aggressive about it. He's like, I don't want nothing. And then the wife, who has the same sentiment, is a bit kinder about it, but she's like, oh, you know, why don't you clean all this up, and I'm gonna go to work. You can see yourself out. That type of energy is like, Georgia doesn't take the hint. She's kind of like, yeah, they're kind of cold, but I'm gonna try to win them over. But before she can start the plan to do that, in comes back the ex-boyfriend doing the whole baby please. He brings flowers. They start playing the creepy music, and he's like, is there somebody else? And she's like, actually, there's several people. You are bad at sex. They argue. He tries to choke her, and she's able to push him away. She's like, and he leaves saying, if I can't have you, then no one can. So immediately she goes over to that video diary that she's popping in on throughout the movie. And she, again, tells them the exact scene that we just saw. If anything happens to me, it's him. It's my ex-boyfriend. So back at the couple that she actually likes house, the wife is having a meeting with some coworkers at her home. And in comes Georgia, kind of like, yeah, I'm here to see you and your husband. Like, we can have lunch, and I brought groceries, and I can cook for you. And immediately the wife is like, what the are you doing? Why are you at our house unannounced, uninvited? I'm working, and now my coworkers are going to be all up in my business. That's none of their business. And they were. They're like, oh, who is this? So she kicks her out, and she's like, nah. The wife and the husband end up talking to each other, and the wife is like, why didn't you tell me that she's new to the lifestyle? That's something that we should have like laid groundwork for, because she over here popping up and I'm doing work. So they tell that to Georgia. They clarify, we just wanted a sexual relationship, not a romantic one. You have no business coming over to our house unannounced. Georgia apologizes. She didn't want to start any trouble, and they're like, we'll think it over and we'll see. And they basically send her away. They tell her to take her groceries and get going. Cheryl, the work friend, ends up inviting her to another one of them parties that she's constantly going on about. And for once, she agrees to go. And the party's just like a big orgy. But I will say, I don't have much to applaud this movie on, but one thing that I will give it is that it was very body inclusive. There were fat people, there were thin people, and it did represent that most of the biggest freaks that you'll ever meet are not the like hyper conventionally attractive people. It's a bunch of fucking nerds. The friend is like, I'm so proud of you for coming out. I didn't think you had it in you. A friend of mine actually records her escapades, and she puts it on a paid site. And Georgia's like, oh, that's kind of a good idea. Maybe I should do that. The friend also gives her the link to the Facebook swinger orgy group. Again, old motherfucker hate this movie. I'm sorry. And then after that, you know, she's like, I'm getting the Like, I'm gonna go, and it's everybody in the most random places. She a random couple that was just buying a pineapple. That's all she needed to know. They were like, oh, they're buying fruit. They're buying a tropical fruit. They must be down to smash in the car. And they are. They high five. What if they just like the fruit? I like pineapple. I have a great recipe for pineapple chicken. If you know, hope I'm not sending the wrong impression. But yeah, she gets to fucking everybody and everywhere. In cars, at the gas pump, at her home. Some of which she ends up recording on a live stream without their consent. Wow, everyone sucks in this movie. Again, almost impressive. But her hostcapades are interfering with her work enough that Cheryl starts to notice. And she's like, you're late. Your client has been here for a while. And when she gets there, the client is Mr. Mason's crazy ass. Wow, they just won't disappear, will they? He's like, we missed you. He's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to go back to y'all. And he's like, damn, well, I didn't know it was over, even though you haven't talked to me in a while. Can you play with the joystick for old time's sake? And for some reason this time she cool with it. I guess she don't give a fuck about losing her job anymore. And it's funny because I thought the whole like, I don't want to lose my license thing was foreshadowing. But that would insinuate the people who make movies on TUBI know how to write a film. And around this time, I started to notice there's only 8 minutes left in the movie. And it's strange, right? Because it seems like her montage of sex would have happened a long time ago in the film. So I was like, wait a second. So what? She goes to work and Cheryl is like, I just feel like you have a off aura about you these days, and here is an obsidian crystal for protection. This is the first we're hearing about her doing anything with crystals, but okay. The vibes are weird. Here's the crystal. And she's like, I don't need that. I don't know, man. I just feel like you in danger. So she was like, no. Later that day, the ex comes to the establishment. And I'm like, oh, there's only 8 minutes left. He gonna kill her? He gonna hurt her? No. She just comes out to yell, and then Cheryl comes out and she brings a knife and she's like, I'll cut you, and he's never seen again. Then the Masons come over. I was like, oh, maybe it's the Masons. They come over. No. They just invite her to a swingers cruise. And she's like, oh, okay. Which is confusing because I thought you just said you don't want to f with them no more, but okay. And they don't hurt her. They don't do anything to her. That's it. The movie... The movie ends. The man who was talked about on the news periodically throughout the movie ends up being one of her sexcapades, and he chokes her to death on stream. If you're wondering, who is this man? As in, like, who is he in relation to the main characters of the film? He is no one. He's just a man that looks like the Crypt Keeper. And then the credits start to roll. Yeah. That's how the movie ends. That's it. Everything and nothing happened at the same time. Imagine my confusion, because I was also doing something while it was playing. So when I looked up and saw a black screen with credits, imagine my true shock and surprise. I'm sure I'm going to be getting a letter with a noise complaint because I laughed so fucking hard. Because how did you make a whole movie about nothing? That's Diary of a Unicorn. You got to stick around for the credits because they also tease that there's a sequel to this film by the name of Memoirs of a Vixen. Because we got to add that to the list. Yeah. That's it. That was it. Yep, we never end any plot point. We never resolve any storyline. No, I was gonna say we kind of resolved the killer storyline, but no, we don't. I ended the movie and I said, why? Why was this made? But yeah, that's the movie. It was very funny. Accidentally, and I'm happy I could share it with you. Yeah, so that's this week's video. If you liked it, feel free to like it. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Twitter, or whatever the Threads, because did you see that motherfucker was saying on Twitter that you won't be able to block people? Follow me on Threads. It's KennieJD as well there. If you have movie suggestions, feel free to send them on any form of social media or down in the comments. And because I'm getting better at it, it's starting to feel less like a hot dagger in my brain and through my heart to plug that I have an album. You should listen to it. It's called Songs She'd Like to Hear. And I'm probably going to play a bit of something in this outro right here.